Oh, I know I'm loud. Sorry, Andrew, I didn't mean to alarm you. Okay, I'd like to call to order the New York City Transit Committee meeting. Let's get started with our public safety announcements.
Your safety is of the foremost importance to the MTA. Therefore, we ask that you listen and adhere to the following instructions. If you witness an emergency, notify emergency personnel in the room and call 911 immediately. Please follow any audible instructions provided through the public address system or visually on screens in the event of an emergency. If an alarm sounds, wait for a public address announcement and follow instructions. If told to go to another floor or to evacuate the building, leave all unessential items behind and use stairwell A just across the main hallway or stairwell B down the hallway past the elevators. If you have a mobility disability or cannot self-evacuate, please proceed to stairwell D or E for assistance by MTA staff or emergency personnel. An automated external defibrillator, AED, for use by trained personnel is in the main hallway just past the elevators. If you need assistance during an evacuation, please tell an MTA staff member or emergency personnel. Thank you and have a safe day.
Thank you. Can we move to our public speakers, please?
Of course. Good morning. We have 19 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA rules of conduct and decorum, including speaking on topic. I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware there'll be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. The first speaker would be Kayla Haslett, followed by John Padula.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kalia Hazlett. I'm a member of the Transit Riders Council. I'm sure you all have seen the images on the news about the stations flooding. As an ambulatory wheelchair user, this is one of my greatest fears for myself and for travelers with disabilities. A true barrier to independent traveling is the idea of getting trapped. I'm sure we would be rescued by emergency services. And as New York City Transit main priority is safety, I was looking for the updated protocol online and was wondering, have you guys considered updating that and posting it on your website and to continue to have the conversations? I know sometimes that there's a lapse in conversations with other agencies, but that was quite scary to see those images. Additionally, I would like to know what's the protocol for this equipment if something happens and we have to be removed from the station. One of the concerns that I get a lot is what's going to happen to my equipment. We may be rescued in that moment, but 6 months later, are we going to still be sitting there due to some bureaucratic red tape? So I would like to know if you would still have the conversation, continue the conversation about updating the safety protocols. Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Padula, followed by Jason Anthony.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Padula. I am a supervisor with Educational Vision Services from New York City Public Schools, as well as a member of the Advisory Committee for Transit Accessibility. Disability Pride Month. Thinking about pride, it's an interesting thing. Too much is no good, but just enough totally makes sense. And I spend a lot of time during my workday trying to convince blind children and parents of blind children that it's respectable to be blind and that life is doable. It's different, but it's doable. And you often hear me talk about reasonable autonomy and real choices. And I was sitting in an airport yesterday trying to get back here from Buffalo, hopefully to get to work this morning, and flights were being canceled left and right, up and down, delays. Delta was sending me ridiculous notifications that made no sense. They had me on and off flights. Everyone's losing their minds around me. And I'm thinking, You folks just aren't used to this, right? Reasonable autonomy and real choices. You have no choices. There's no autonomy. You're there. You're stuck. So I'm sitting at Anchor Bar. I'm having some wings and enjoying the airport as I do. A couple of adult beverages, and everyone's losing their minds. But you know what? The needle is moving, and I compare it to paratransit because oftentimes when you're disabled, you have to wait for folks and wait for things to happen around you, and it feels like you don't have control, and that's when people lose their mind because they don't have control. So all that to say, equity, real choices, autonomy, the needle is moving. Let's keep doing the work. We have to move forward. A modern, usable Accessoride is part of an inclusive transit system, and I'm glad we're recognizing these things, and I'm glad that we are moving forward. Let's keep doing the work. Never mistake disability for inability, and remember, low expectations lead to low outcomes. My name is John Padula. Thank you very much. If I can put the mic back. Thanks. Sorry.
Our next speaker is Jason Anthony, followed by Chris Greif.
Good morning, everybody. Jason Anthony, the Transit Guru. It was good to be at the press conference this past Tuesday announcing 12 new elevators in this as part of the 2025 to 2029 capital plan. Several of them being in the borough of Brooklyn. As a reminder to everybody, July is Disability Pride Month. The MTA has pride of recognizing that. But two other agencies doesn't recognize that. The New Jersey Transit Corporation and the Port Unauthorized of New York and New Jersey, like I called it. It is so unfortunate that this agency doesn't recognize Disability Pride Month. But I want to give a huge shout out to Dimitri Crislow, Chris Paganini, Chimera Arroyo, Shinifa Rivera, and the rest of people that are here at the MTA that are always helpful, that I always have a problem regarding my trips on a bus, a trip on a subway, a question that I have, a concern. They always there for me to answer my concerns. Guys, thank you for being there for me throughout these years. Because without you guys, my experience here at the MTA will be a nightmare. So thank you for that, guys.
Our next speaker is Chris Greif, followed by Ernest Hall.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Disability Pride Month, 8835. As we celebrate a nice gratuity and we celebrate a lot on the trains, on the buses, and yes, Accessoride. Thank you, Accessoride behind me. We also want to thank a lot. But, you know, as we celebrate a lot of more accessible stations, getting in there, doing our surveys, getting outreach out there, getting the Neverlands, getting the combo, and yes, the Queens Bus redesign. But as we are working really hard, making sure accessibility is mentioned a lot, we want to thank you. But at the same time, we do want to thank our NYPD and MTA police, because since we have the R211 on the B, on my line, we want to thank them because getting those transit buffs to understand this is not a game show host on the B. The B train's supposed to run for people on the train. We pay our fare. We don't need surfers. If you want to surf, that's why the B goes to Brighton Beach. Beach for beach. Surfing in Coney Island. And I want to thank them because they caught them. And I'm glad they did get caught because we want to be on a train that is beautiful. We can see it coming like at least 50 miles away because those lights are very bright, which is good. And to know where it's going to stop and what stations. So the train is there. We love it. I know a lot of other kids love going on those trains, and I hope to see more of those in the near future in our subways as well. Especially, we hope to see more of the MTA buses with those similar signs telling us our stops, locations, and continuing advocating. Our mission still needs to continue for the future of accessibilities for seniors, people with disabilities, and our veterans. It is extremely important to continue advocating for everyone to move forward with the new MTA of the 21st century. Thank you, everyone. Happy 8835.
Our next speaker is Ernest Hall, followed by Alita Dupree.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody. It seems to be the two things I have most to be concerned about would be accessibility as far as the ADA when it comes to Accessorize, because we keep working with people who, sadly enough, do not recognize disabilities and do not understand English. It's hard to say, where are you going, because they don't understand it. I live in Queens County, where we are experiencing our changing of our buses. The only argument we have is the routes are fine, stops are being eliminated. That doesn't help if you can't see where to go, and there's no MTA person to say, who do I go to ask, where do I go? But you say, hey, you want my money, but you won't stop to pick me up. So I'm hoping that they will change that. That will be a beautiful thing, but it comes, because they see I live in the 30% that hasn't been changed yet, but I'm saying something before August 31 when things do happen. But as I say, the biggest thing is the accessibility for Accessorize, because you want a transit service that serves everybody, but if you have Accessorize drivers that don't just sit behind the wheel, you're not assisting me in doing anything, but hopefully they'll change that. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Next speaker is Alita Dupree, followed by Omar Vera.
Thank you. Good morning to the chair. Alita Dupree, for the record, she and her with Team Folds brought you some G service subway, which I used back in April. Kind of looks like BART, which I'm going to use later today. I have a lot on my mind about the subway, continuing our work with Omni as we roll toward the new year. We want everybody to be able to get onto Omni and put the Metro cards behind us. And I saw the videos of the subway flooding, and these are external factors, but I hope our partners at the city will work with urgency to help keep these problems from happening again. I ask myself when I come to New York, am I going to have to buy a pair of those knee-high rain boots for navigating the city, and not just the subway, but all other kinds of places, because I want to enjoy the subway, and I don't take rain too good. That's one reason why I live in the desert. Electricity is essential. We want to keep working on buying our electricity and ensure that it's metered accurately. Because I read stories about issues with our electric providers with estimated metering. And we should have smart meters down there in our system, and that way they can send the signals back to our base. I have a smart meter at home. I can find out the next day how much I've used in 15-minute increments. So we want to work toward building our renewable energy subway. I hope maybe in August I will come back and use the subway. It's a very distinctive system. It's a system that is legendary and stately. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Omar Vera, followed by Yolanda Aliane.
Hey, good morning, MTA Board's Transit Committee. First, I'd like to make a suggestion. I noticed the Queens bus redesign has finally come into effect at the end of last month. But like I said, I have questions about why was it modified. For instance, the airport routes. Why is there the Q90 instead of simply having the Q50, and provide direct service between the Bronx and LaGuardia Airport? But I will also suggest I do know that eventually the Q10 Limited will become the Q80. But here's how you can enhance service on that. Make it SBS, select bus service, because the airports deserve at least the enhanced service that they should, like Like every year, tourists come here, like millions of tourists come here. They should at least get to experience our world-class transit system. So I hope we can make it good with that. And all in all, I'm really excited to see the R211 on the B now. So they get to finally experience the new subway cars there. After all, the R211 is partially based out of Coney Island. So in addition to Pitkin. But with that said, that's all I have to mention for this month. And have a good August recess, and I'll be back here in the autumn.
Our next speaker is Yolanda Liane, followed by David Kupferberg.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda Aline. I'm talking about Stressor Ride. They have a very good program called eHail, and I'm hoping that they would increase it because it gives people that use Stressor Ride the ability to be a lot more independent than they are right now when they have to use the so-called blue and white van without shocks in the broker service. But I'm hoping that they would increase it because it's a very excellent program for people to keep their independence. I'm hoping that you guys don't do the same thing like y'all had that program about station manager, that you knew who was in charge of the station, so if you have issues in the subway, you know exactly who to call. And you had another program that I thought was valuable with the senior program that it got scrapped after COVID. These are good programs that you guys need to do. So I am hoping that eHail will become a very valuable part of Stressor Ride program so that people can keep their independence rather than have to be struggling and not knowing exactly what to do and dealing with a whole lot of nonsense where it's concerning the non-shocks blue van and the broker service that is not worthwhile with your drivers having FaceTiming and speaking on the telephone with customers in it. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is David Kupferberg, followed by Robert Whitaker.
Good morning, everybody. I brought to your attention at last month's meeting the service changes for the Q18 connected to the Queens Bus Network redesign, effective August 31st, 2025. It's not too late to rescind the order to remove the bus stops on 53rd Avenue at 68th Street. All that must be done is to inform the New York City DOT. Effective June 29th, the Q23 began to operate all times but no longer serve the 7 train. To have the Q23 serve the 7 train would have a minimal increase in operating costs but gain many riders. I submit 2 options, either via the 103rd Street Corona Plaza station or the 111th Street station. The former would restore Q23 service to a commercial hub. The latter would restore service to an area that became a transit desert on June 29th. The new Q82 currently operates all times except overnight hours in order to gauge ridership. Early anecdotes show that the Q82 is a success, hence it should operate all times. I still think that it was a mistake not to have a rush route that would maintain the link between the E train at Jamaica Center and the UBS Arena. Such a route, that I call the Q97, would make all stops via Hempstead Avenue, then limited stops to Jamaica. If changes are necessary, they should be done immediately, not wait until after post-implementation analysis would be complete. The people and riders should not have to suffer in the interim. The Q27 bus stop on Springfield Boulevard at Amboy Road was literally in front of the Queens Village Long Island Railroad station. The stop was eliminated on June 29th, and the people still wait at the bus stop, bypassing them. Shame on the MTA.
Our next speaker is Robert Whitaker, followed by Elizabeth Abraham.
Hi, good morning. My name is Robert Whitaker. I'm a local 100 employee working and living out of the borough of Brooklyn. Good morning, all. I am a recovering injured worker here, and to say that my union has finally objected to the policies of workers' comp here, and supporting your injured workers needs to be seen by everybody as a threat to the service, to your employees, and to the public, it's unfair. Not being able to get medical treatment or payments for while they're injured is just verbatimly wrong and is guilty, makes you guys look guilty that you don't want to take care of your workers. On another matter, right now you guys are shifting other buses from other boroughs to Staten Island here, leaving those boroughs short of service here, putting our operators at grave risk. There's nobody from here that's actually driven a bus here, in service here, that understands what the driver goes through here. When you have lack of service here, or buses that break down, it's unfair to the public. It's also unfair to what you're putting on your drivers. It's not fair. I challenge everyone from the buses team to actually sit behind the driver's seat and complete a full tour to see what it is here. The CTO office here has finally made some changes that are not good for bus operators, and it's not going to be good for the public either here. The schedules don't work as they are to begin with here on tight running times here. Not allowing a proper way to get a personal at the end of the line here to use the bathroom here is truly unfair. When you turn around and have a radio system that doesn't work here, now that's going to be used for getting late slips here, which also doesn't work here. It's unfair to your bus operators and to your employees. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Elizabeth Abraham, followed by Jean Ryan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm coming back because I always like to say that I love accessory ride, sincerely in my heart. But I put a proposal previously in terms of the issues of the best interest of the drivers. And I was responding that way is because I'm observing, I use the services, and the drivers is like, oh man, it's agitating, it's annoying. So then after I thought about it, I said, wait, maybe we could do something for the drivers. It may not be a priority, other priorities outside of that. But the proposal I presented it to our representatives, from the councilwoman, because the procedures had to go through the councilwoman. I sent them a letter, it was dated April 28th, and I gave it to all of them. I haven't heard anything. But also, I got a news with the leadership here that Accessoride, they created what they have, like an app, and the app would be put in the computer. And I said, you know what? It's a good idea, yeah. But I said, no, something's missing. Something is missing. And why? Once again, this is the best interest of the drivers. And the drivers, they come from an innocence, ignorance in terms of, this opportunity, which I could understand. Same story with my mother coming in here from Puerto Rico, for example. So I said, why? Why can't we have a paper that could be in paper? You said to put it in the computer. I said, put it in paper. A mini book. It's like a tips, basic knowledge, different languages of stating of the little tips that would make it easy. For example, I think it's very nice that the drivers should say, good afternoon, if they're calling me, I'm upstairs. They're downstairs looking for me, and who knows, they could be here in 5 minutes or they're downstairs right now. They could say, hey, good afternoon, this is Accessoride, this is B, we're going to location from 630 Lenox Avenue, headed to, 1 Broadway. Now we're talking. Why? Because the drivers are not given that information. They just don't know how to do it.
Please conclude your remarks.
I'm sorry? Oh, we just finished?
Yeah, your time is up. I'm sorry.
Next month. See you again. Not forgotten. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jean Ryan, followed by Brian Furtz.
Hi, I'm Jean Ryan, President of Disabled in Action of Metropolitan New York, DIA for short. I am talking about the inaccessibility of express buses again. Last week I took one and was somewhat shocked to hear the driver say she had never been trained and did not know how to operate the lift because she was working overtime. That used to happen all the time, and I had forgotten that that's an excuse. I told her I would teach her, me, the passenger. That's because I've ridden express buses for 25 years. I got training years ago because I asked for it, because I didn't like not being able to get on the lift. And I even have a key to the bus in case the driver's keys don't work well or they can't find them, because sometimes that happens too. I told her that there was an instruction sheet up by the seats telling her how to move them, but in that bus there was no instruction sheet. That is sloppy lack of work from the Ulmer Park Depot. I pointed out where to put her key, where the remote was, and how to use the lift, and about slamming the door shut multiple times if necessary. I know all the tricks. I got in the bus. The driver needed help with the railings, and another express bus driver helped her with that. Because I was already in the bus, I couldn't tell her what to do. There's no need for her to be retrained since I retrained her. She said that they can watch a video every year about the express bus, but they don't have to. No wonder we're in this pickle. We need a low-floor ramp bus so we truly have accessibility like everyone else. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Brian Furch, followed by Anna Humphrey.
Good morning. I'm Brian Fritsch, Associate Director of the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA, PCAC. PCAC was very impressed by the MTA's response to the extreme downpour on July 14th, keeping the bulk of service running through the rain and restoring service across the system in time for the morning rush. Water seeks the lowest point, so subway stations unfortunately bear the brunt of the storm. Yet the strong need for continuing investment and partnership in flood prevention, largely within the city's purview. The 28th Street geyser shouldn't be the expected rule, but a rare exception. It's essential that the city improve and expand its capabilities, even as the MTA continues its resiliency work. We were also pleased to serve as ambassadors for the Queens Bus Network redesign. We heard from riders across the most bus-dependent county in the country who appreciated the additional new routes, as well as the time saved with rush routes, which were improving travel to the LIRR and subways for residents in subway deserts. We're looking forward to continuing to work with you as you compile actionable feedback from bus drivers and riders. We'll also be out there for the Phase 2 rollout. This week marks 35 years of the ADA, and we would be remiss not to remark on the efforts that are going to make subway stations more accessible. Last week's announcement at Franklin Avenue was another milestone of what can get done when all oars pull in the same direction. We look forward to the day when everyone can get wherever they want to go, including taking a 7 to a Mets game, whenever they want to get there. Every step takes us closer to that goal. Good news also came to Rockaway riders with the expansion of express bus service, and to Staten Island bus riders with what amounts to a mobile tech team ready to fix problems as they arise. Not just listening, but hearing and responding to riders helps engender trust and loyalty. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anna Humphrey, followed by Anita White.
Good morning. My name is Anna Humphrey, and I'm the Transportation Community Organizer with the Center for Independence of the Disabled New York, or Sydney. I'm here today to urge you to expand the Access-a-Ride on-demand pilot program. Every week, I get calls from our consumers asking how they can use Access-a-Ride for last-minute doctor's appointments, a surprise family gathering, or an unplanned errand that just can't wait. And I hate that I have to tell them there is an on-demand option, but you can't get into it. It's limited, it's exclusive, and it's not something that I can help you access. That's not what public transit should be, and that is not what equity looks like. The Access-a-Ride on-demand pilot gives riders a glimpse of what true freedom and spontaneity can feel like, what many of us take for granted when we swipe into the subway or hop on a bus. But right now, this program is limited to only a lucky few. We understand that there are regulations to follow and budget constraints, but the solution cannot be to let those barriers stop progress. I'm asking you to do whatever it takes to make this program work at scale, because the only way to close the gap in service is to expand on demand. The paratransit system must offer equivalent freedom and equivalent flexibility. Anything less is unequal by design. Let me be able to tell people proudly that the MTA offers an on-demand service that is inclusive, reliable, and available to all who need it, not one that's just out of reach. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Anita White, followed by Iris Kelly.
Good morning to the MTA board, all assembled. My name is Anitha White from East Elmhurst, LaGuardia Airport, Q23 bus and all the other buses that has not been conducive to the traveling of the new system. Q23 bus by stops 2 subway stations, the 11th Street and the number 48 no longer is a 48, now it becomes a 90 bus. I was not going to take this challenge to speak because I do help and I'm a public servant, and I just could not believe it. I could not believe that the 23 bus was replaced with the 14th, and a whole block or two we have to walk from the church, and it takes you to the church. Well, that's great. But what about the handicaps and the others that does not really, it does not serve everyone purpose, and it never will. That's why we have different services. That's one good thing about New York. That's why I'm not leaving. It's really, really great. It's a great system, and it works. So, having said that, my attorney was going to come and address it, but I did not give him the address, and my attorney is Reverend Ross and Reverend Sharpton, an Action Network. I'm a member of the Action Network, and I do work in the community. And I help with the seniors. I help with the bus drivers, especially the new bus drivers. And one thing I would tell them, no, it's not permissible for you to say,
Please conclude your remarks.
No, I will teach you.
Please conclude your remarks.
My job to
Thank
help
you.
previous service.
Our next speaker is Iris Kelly.
Yes. I agree about the on-demand program. It would be great if you could tell more people about it to be able to use it. I mean, why you randomly pick people? Why don't you ask the clientele if they were willing to be able to try it, yes or no? And not everybody's going to want it, but some do. I'm losing out on my family because people invite me somewhere I can't go because they last-minute people like to enjoy, but I can't. I had to book 1-2 days before to enjoy something. I'm in predicament place. I'm stuck sometimes in any place I can't get where I got to be. And it shouldn't be like that. I should be able to pick up my on demand, be able to go to where I have to be, and enjoy my life and have a good day in living. But no, you have to put a big thing about it. You pick who you think randomly who should be able to have this. You don't think about the clientele, who really needs, who don't need it. You're willing to ask us about it. Tell us what we think, and he'll be able to use it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Murray Bolden, followed by Charlton DeSouza.
Good morning. I guess I'm up. This is about bus schedules, bus speeds. How do you increase the bus speeds? Well, the lines on the roads were designed for 50 years ago for a different environment. Today, the lines on the road need to be where a snowplow drives would give the driver better information. The other thing is those guide signs up on the top. They point down to be in this lane, but that doesn't give the driver any information about what goes on beyond. On the Kosciuszko Bridge, the arrows point up. If you put the arrows up, the driver would know where that lane goes, if it turns, if it goes straight or it goes to the right. It's all about information. The better information you give the driver, the safer the roads are, the faster the buses go. I wrote myself some notes because I don't always remember how to say this. The two things that will increase speed are lines that the driver can use and not lines that were designed for a world of 50 years ago. And the guide signs should give the driver as much advance information as to where the lane goes after you pass it. I think the new system that you've designed that I'm using today, and it takes me a little time to get used to it, is very good. It indicates that the MTA is thinking forward. Thank you for the opportunity for me being able to speak from my kitchen and not having to travel to New York. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Charles de Souza.
Good morning. My name is Charlton D'Souza. I'm the president of Passengers United. So for all of you celebrating 8035, which is very important, I want to note one thing. On June 29th, when the Queens bus redesign went into effect, I was out there. I was screamed at. I was humiliated. I had things thrown at me, literally. Passengers are at their breaking point, and passengers thought I worked for the MTA. But I told them, I said, the situation with the Queens bus redesign is not my fault. We were just out there giving out information. But again, to the chairman, to the members of this board, I want to know one thing. So y'all eliminated the bus stop right in front of the Queens Village LIRR station at Amboy Lane. Why would you do that for people coming off the railroad? Again, so I know I spoke to Assemblyman Clyde Vanell, Leroy Comrie. I spoke to the elected officials. We want the bus stop reinstated. In fact, you guys have removed bus stops that had bus shelters and bus pads, which cost thousands of dollars. Why? And you're putting bus stops literally in front of a McDonald's driveway throughout Queens. Whoever created this Queens bus redesign plan needs to be fired. And believe in me, I'm going to call for an investigation into all the organizations and to everyone who supported the Queens bus redesign. Because what I want to know is, why is Uber suddenly creating fixed routes to pick up people? Is that even legal? Why is the MTA doing this to our communities? And what y'all did with the Q32, giving it to LaGuardia Depot, I mean, come on. You guys have ruined routes. Really, it's a mess. And so get ready for protests and demonstrations in the next couple of days. We are not going to let the MTA off the hook. The people that are responsible for the Queens bus redesign must resign now, immediately. It is ridiculous. People being forced
Please
to
conclude your remarks.
wait 20 minutes for a bus.
Please conclude your
only to have
remarks.
3 buses. Fix the
Thank
bus
you.
bunching.
Our final speaker is Cassia Rafucci.
Good morning, Commissioner Mahaltes, President Krishlo, and Transit Committee members. My name is Cassie Rafucci, and I'm a member of Passengers United. I would like to address a bus stop situation on Staten Island on Rossville Avenue and Veterans Row West, along the S74 bus going towards St. George Ferry Terminal bound. There is a lot of weeds and litter at that bus stop. I put in a complaint to the MTA, and I was bounced back from the MTA stating that that is the DOT's responsibility and to put a complaint in to the DOT. So I did that. And now to bring up another issue, someone was hit there was an accident at the 14th Street Union Square station on Wednesday, July 2nd. An individual was hit by a southbound Q train going towards downtown Coney Island, Brooklyn. So I was at that station and had to witness that emergency take place. It was very traumatizing to me as a transit rider that I had to be at that specific station trying to go home back to South Brooklyn and to witness that that person being hit by that Q train. I was present at that station when that accident took place. I actually took video. I actually recorded that crime scene, which I was requested by my president, President Charles, who just spoke. I was requested by him to record that crime scene. And while I was recording that crime scene, I had a passenger at the station almost take my phone away, almost slash the phone out of my phone out of my hands because I was recording the scene. I was recording the crime scene, and that person told me to stop recording, even though I was given consent by my transit advocacy president to
Thank
record the
you.
scene. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful summer break.
That concludes our public comment session for today's meeting.
Thank you to all our public speakers. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 2025 meeting. Motion, second? Second, Dan, thank you. All those in favor, abstention, motion passed. Thank you. All right, we'll move on. Demetrius, are there any changes to the work plan?
None, thank you.
Okay, great. You want to start us off with your president's report?
Sure, thank you, Hader. We have a packed agenda for the committee today, so I'd like to go through some quick top-line updates. We'll start off with July, which is Disability Pride Month. This year, Disability Pride Month is special because it marks the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. As someone with family members who have their own unique needs, this is personal to me. It's no secret that our system was built in an era before the ADA, where accessibility was not part of the design of our system. Now, we use these milestones and celebrations like these to remind us of the work that we've committed to doing. Our ultimate goal is to have a system that anyone, in any mode, any stage of their life, can use it at any time. We currently have 151 accessible stations with elevators or ramps across the subway system. The 2025 to 2029 capital plan has paved the way for another 65 accessible stations, and that does not include the 35 stations that are currently being constructed. The elevators that operate within New York City Transit continue to deliver excellent service. So that's definitely a result of the great work of our E&E teams, who have an availability of over 98% for this month. Of course, our work to provide accessible service goes beyond just elevators. Paratransit continues to provide excellent service and smash every record that we hit to date. Yeah, thank you, Rachel.
Sorry.
That's all good. On the bus side, we have several projects that improve the accessibility of our system, like our automated camera system enforcement and our bus network redesigns. We know we have much more work to do to reach our goal of a universally accessible system, but I'm happy to take a moment during Disability Pride Month and reflect on the progress that we've made to date. Speaking of buses and progress made, I recently met with Staten Island Borough President Fasella to discuss strides that the agency is making to improve bus service on Staten Island. When customers aren't happy, I personally get calls, I get emails, we get letters. If it's a priority for them, it's a priority for me to ensure that we continue to work as a team to provide the service that we need to. Let's talk a little bit about what we've done and invested in Staten Island service between 2018 and 2025. Transit increased Staten Island scheduled service by 11% and has invested $15 million in the bus network, including a comprehensive redesign of express bus service that increased bus speeds by 16% overall and 40% at key pinch points entering Manhattan. Bus service is delayed 10% less often since congestion pricing was implemented, and ridership has grown 5% since before COVID to 140,000 weekday customers. The bus fleet, which serves Staten Island, is currently being replaced, with almost 200 new buses currently being replaced since 2018, and another 130 expected by mid-2026. Combined, that's 40% of the fleet. Our bus team, under leadership of Chris Pangilinan, is improving our maintenance practices and procedures, has revitalized the leadership that's overseeing the work of Staten Island, and is engaging the union to find new ways to work with our partners in improving our service to Staten Island customers. Overall, New York City Transit operates 45% more buses per million riders on Staten Island than any other borough in New York. And as you may know, I used to work at Staten Island Railway, so improving service on Staten Island is a priority for me because it's personal. To the people of Staten Island, you deserve world-class transportation service, and we are committed and excited to deliver that for you. Staten Island is not the only borough receiving love from us. They all are. All boroughs are getting that love, but we're going to talk specifically about one more. Last month, we launched phase 1 of the Queens bus network redesign, and it's been an amazing success so far. On the screen here, you will see me and members of the executive team out there engaging as customer ambassadors during the shift, out there talking directly with customers across many locations, talking directly to customers. Thanks to the work of the redesign team, our ambassadors have found that customers were knowledgeable and excited about the changes. Contrary to what you may hear, customers actually appreciate the work that went on with the Queens bus network redesign. It's still early, but preliminary data has been promising. Rush routes are traveling 6% faster than the local and limited routes they replace. One example during the week of July 14th is that of the Q111. That rush, which provides service along Guy R. Brewer Boulevard, was 18% faster. 18% faster. Time in your piggy bank of life. And we're not done. Don't forget, phase 2 launches August 31st. This phase will include neighborhoods like Astoria, Long Island City, and the Rockaways. We plan to have the same aggressive customer ambassador program so that everyone in the borough of Queens is ready for their new bus network when school starts up in September. It was mentioned during one of the public comments, you hope that you receive information, you will receive information. We plan to have the same aggressive approach with talking to customers. Again, I need to give thanks to the team, the staff that's been out there, dedicated their time on a volunteer basis to be there for customers because they value this as much as we do. And I want to thank the residents of Queens and their elected officials for being such strong partners in this process. The redesign is just one tool in our toolbox for making buses move faster and more efficiently. Last month, we talked about the ACE program and how important that was and how dramatic of a change we had once we started implementing it. When we implement bus networks in combination with ACE, work with our partners at DOT to install bus lanes, the customer sees a tremendous benefit to their travel patterns. At the end of 2022, we announced that we would open 15 customer service centers at stations across the 5 boroughs. And at the start of 2024, we were able to accomplish that. Today, I am proud to announce that we'll be opening an additional 15 customer service centers, where our station agents will be there to help customers with such things as Omni, signing up for reduced fare program, and many other functions. As we prepare to no longer issue or refill Metro cards come December, we want to ensure that we're doing all that we can to provide the best customer service to help our riders fully transition to Omni and gain any additional support needed. We've heard great things from the customer service centers, from our customers and our workforce. So this investment is intentional and it's the right thing to do. You'll see customer service centers opening up in the start of 2026, and we'll share more about that in the months ahead. In May, the Department of Subways registered the highest weekday on-time performance in modern record keeper. I'm happy to report that good news didn't just stop there. In June, I had the honor of standing with our Subways Senior Vice President of Subways, Bill Amorosa, to accept the Rail Safety Gold Award from APTA, the American Public Transportation Association. This is the first time that New York City Transit has won this award, and it speaks to the hard work of this team and dedication to both passengers and to our customers and our employees to be able to put safety first in this organization. So thank you, Bill, for all your work and the team for that. You know my mantra, safety and service, that's where it's at. And we've been laser focused on providing great safety and service in our system, and the rest of the country is noticing it. Crime in the system is lower than pre-pandemic levels and has remained down year over year. More officers deployed in the system has resulted in more enforcement. In addition to more enforcement, we're continuing our work in investing in safety and security. New York City Transit continues to install platform edge barriers, which prevent customers from falling onto the tracks, now in place over 50 stations, and on pace to meet our commitment to 100 stations by the end of the year. We want to thank Governor Hochul for her leadership on this issue, and we're excited to deliver on our promise to give New Yorkers a safe commute. Total assaults in the system are down for 2025. Assaults on our employees are now the lowest level in the last 6 years. Still, one assault is too many, so we still have work to do. We're leveraging cameras and new technology to make the system safer for our riders and employees. Last week, we were proud to put out the new R211 on the B train. It's great that the B train riders from Bronx to Brooklyn will experience safer and more reliable service with this addition, but the R211 also has state-of-the-art safety and security features and digital displays, along with wider doorways that will help speed up boarding times and improve accessibility. We also completed adding R211s to the G line, a full fleet of R211s on that service. So, all in all, great service, new improvements for our customers. We are showing that we could do it here at the MTA. This is a win-win for our riders. With that, I will turn it over to Bill Amorosa for his subways.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Demetrius, for the credit and the great news going on in subways. Even among that great news, we did have some challenges over the course of the summer. Some of you may remember at the end of June, we had a heat wave where temperatures approached 100 degrees for a couple of days, and that created some issues in our system. And I'm really proud of the subways team for going out into the heat and responding to those issues. You know, when other New Yorkers were able to go inside to the air conditioning, we were going out into the heat and not going back in until service was fully restored. Even with those challenges, June weekday OTP was 83.1%, which is a little bit down from where we were in May and our record high there, but still above our goal of 83% for the quarter. If we exclude the 3 days of the heat wave, OTP would have been 84.4%. Weekend OTP was nearly unchanged from May, and if we take out the heat wave, customer journey time performance would have been the same as we achieved in May. I'd also like to thank the team for their response to the historic flooding we experienced a couple weeks ago. When water started entering the system from overwhelmed streets and sewers, we had over 700 employees from our MOW and facilities groups respond, and they were able to move over 500,000 gallons of water and get service resumed in a matter of hours. We had a normal morning rush hour the next day. Most of our customers never even knew what had happened. And in fact, we set a record for ridership the following day. So great job by the subways team. I'm incredibly proud of their dedication to keeping it moving for our customers. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bill. I just want to echo Bill's thanks to the teams in responding to the recent weather events, the heat wave in June, of course, the flooding a couple weeks ago. Just like Bill's team, the bus operators and bus team, maintainers and dispatchers out in the street in the 100-degree weather, and of course, helping deal with the flooding on the roadways. I really appreciate that, and most importantly, our customers appreciate all that work. Overall, bus performance improved slightly across all metrics compared to last month and the prior year. Despite that heat wave in June, service delivery was 95.4%, which is a slight increase both from the previous month and the prior year. Customer journey time performance up 2 points from May and about flat year over year. And average bus speed was also flat year over year. As Demetrius mentioned earlier, July is Disability Pride Month, and 2 days ago was the 35th anniversary of the signing of the ADA. And it's important to highlight the accessibility benefits of our automated camera enforcement program. And this month marks the 1 year since what we call ACE expanded beyond traditional bus lane enforcement to include double parking as well as bus stop enforcement. So when vehicles are blocking bus stops, buses are often forced to stop mid-street, making it dangerous and sometimes impossible for riders using wheelchairs, walkers, strollers, and carts to board or exit safely. ACE enforcement, however, has helped this significantly, and there has been a 40% decrease in blocked bus stops on ACE corridors. ACE now covers 510 miles across 39 routes, benefiting over 775,000 daily riders. So, a message to you: if you're not operating an MTA bus, please stay out of the bus lanes and bus stops, and don't double park. And so, lastly, as part of our ongoing commitment to improve transparency, the MTA is continuing to enhance the quality and accuracy of our performance metrics. Since Bus Time launched in 2014, both bus data quality and analytical capabilities have improved significantly. MTA's data and analytics team has upgraded our methodology for converting GPS pings into bus trips and performance indicators. And these updated metrics will provide a much more accurate picture of the customer experience. And under this new methodology, the monthly trends will remain consistent with the prior methodology. That concludes the bus update for this month, and I'll pass it on to Rachel.
Thanks, Chris. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start by echoing my colleagues and saying thanks to the Paratransit team and all of our service providers for working tirelessly through the month of June and throughout the summer to provide continuing high levels of service through heat, through flooding, through all the events that we face. Paratransit had a very strong month of June in terms of performance. We saw improvements to OTP, and those are going on as we continue to see a ridership trend of 15 to 20% increases in trips completed and riders on our service on a year-over-year basis. The first half of June was really a historic period of time for Paratransit. Again, our ridership continues to increase, and at the same time, we're seeing service levels continue to improve, and that's a testament to the work that our team is doing every day. And I want to echo President Critchlow in acknowledging, as we celebrate Disability Pride Month and the anniversary of the ADA, we acknowledge the tremendous progress we made, including in the paratransit realm, and the work that remains to do. We hear the speakers, the concerns about driver assistance and language in particular is something that we're working closely on and look forward to continuing to improve the service in the months and in the years to come. And that concludes our update for this month. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Bernard Jackson here, Chief Operating Officer. So I want to give an update on our June ridership numbers. We continue to see strong ridership numbers throughout the year. In fact, June 4th was the highest single day in 2025 with 4.4 million subway riders, which is our second highest post-COVID day. And if you're wondering what's the highest post-COVID day, it was Wednesday, yeah. I don't know what was special about that particular Wednesday, but we had a lot of ridership. December 12, 2024, we registered 4.5 million ridership. So we continue to push toward pre-COVID level ridership. The data suggests that we are seeing a later ridership peak for this time of the year, which is certainly unusual because this is typically schools is out, Memorial Day, holiday season. However, usually ridership, as I mentioned, usually tapers off during this time. This is an indication to us that more people are using our system for discretionary rides as opposed to the trips for school, work, which are usually more predictable. As you know, we track estimates of fare evasions in the system. On buses, we are happy to see that approximately 70% of the increase of paid ridership through Q1 of the year can be attributed to a decrease in fare evasion. And I think we need to give the team a round of applause for all the efforts that are involved in that. Obviously, fare box recovery is very important to us as an agency. We're implementing several key initiatives like the expansion of the Eagle teams on our buses, the introduction of the student Omni, and improved messaging throughout the entire system. We can definitely assign cause and effect to any one of these initiatives, but we're glad to see that something is working, and I'll pass it back over to the president.
Thank you, Bernard. Certainly fantastic work by the teams. When you see ridership increase like that, it's pretty exciting. You know, having two of the largest ridership days to date since COVID, it definitely shows that New York is more than here, but we are back. So now, one last update for me on the efforts to improve efficiency within the organization. We established a goal of finding over $300 million in savings, and we have delivered on that goal. You can see some of our major initiatives on the screen here. We'll talk a little bit about LED lighting in a minute, but you can see that we have really left no stone unturned. There are a few things to call attention to. First, you'll see insourcing of the iron fabrication for platform barriers, which we spoke a little bit about earlier, improving safety. By insourcing that work, doing that work with our employees, our TWU employees in-house, as opposed to going with contractors, we saved about $2 million. And that left the system with a system where passengers on the platforms feel safe and more secure. And we work with people who are qualified and capable of doing it. Another key initiative is expanding upon recurring GOs, which allows us to be smarter with the maintenance planning and save approximately $5 million. I'm really excited about this one because it allows us to operate more efficiently and save money. So it's a benefit to our customers in that they're able to get to where they need to get to more quickly, but also is nice on the pockets. Let's highlight one more specific initiative that's projected to save $10 million, which is LED lighting. Just our station environments alone, within our stations, we have 150,000 light bulbs. Think of the maintenance and energy costs to that. We knew that we had a solution with LED lights. They were cheaper to maintain, they were more energy efficient. LED lights are also brighten the station environment, they make customers feel more safe. People say, I feel safer when the stations are brighter. And so the objective was to save $5.9 million from this initiative. Governor Hochul challenged us to the task of completing this work by the end of 2025. Pending of the July financial plan, our team will be able to make meet up to the governor's challenge and make that vision a reality. So far, 351 stations have been converted to LED. We stand at the current savings of approximately $4.3 million. We're highlighting this initiative because it really is at the epitome of an efficiency success story. Thanks to the efforts of the teams in Subway's facilities group, we continue to explore how this initiative can improve our energy costs in tunnels, our car equipment, and even our shops and yards. New York City Transit saves money, saves energy, and the customer gets a safer station environment. And we're not stopping at just light bulbs. This efficiency initiative is really cross-departmental and across all functions of transit. We're saving time and money by looking at our schedules, the maintenance of our assets, improving how we deliver service, how we collect revenue, and the deployment of our people. First, we have a restructuring of the workers' compensation unit. Years back, MTA strategic initiatives looked at how to reimagine what we do there, how we process workers' compensation claims, and initiatives as an organization. The goal itself was simple: help us handle more calls quickly, give better customer service to our employees, and track more claims quickly and use more robust technology. Those efforts led us to launching a partnership with Sedgwick Claims Management Services as the Workers' Compensation Program Administrator in May. Sedgwick is the work's premier risk and claims administrative planner. They were founded in 1969, so they have a history. Now more than 50 years of experience in public and private sector claims management. They serve over 33,000 clients across 80 countries, including 59% of Fortune 500 companies. As with any changes, especially this large, we experienced early lessons on how we can work more efficiently with Sedgwick and our labor partners. While approximately 11 to 35% of workers' compensation recipients are eligible for differential payments from New York City Transit, we are still required to review every claim to determine eligibility. As I'm sure you heard on the news, due to processing delays, most differential payments for legacy claims were delayed during the last pay cycle. We understand the gravity of this. Employees rely on their paychecks, and that break in pay can have lasting impacts for people. I understand that the severity and have personally been engaged with our labor partners and we're looking to turn the tide on these delays that have been experienced. I got to say, have to give kudos to our Chief Administrative Officer, Valerie Davis, on a team who immediately started in a job and took the reins in grabbing this by the horns. She's been working every day, nights, weekends, in contact with the TWU to give them as much information as we can. Her level of commitment to making sure that employees get what they need and get paid has been notable and appreciated. So thank you, Val, for everything that you've done since coming on board, and I'm sure the employees are grateful as well. That includes holding Sedgwick accountable for what they're supposed to live on. That means giving daily reports to management so that we can track progress on things that are supposed to be done. New York City Transit provides a level of service to a scale that is no equivalent in North America, and that costs money. We have a responsibility to be strong fiscal stewards of this organization to ensure that future generations can continue to support our operations in an efficient manner. And that is the completion of my report.
Thank you, Demetrius, for that very comprehensive report, and thank you, Bill and Bernard and Chris and Rachel. Any questions for, yes, Andrew?
Hi, Demetrius, thanks. You reported that there will be a lot more gate guards, gate paneling on stations to prevent people from falling down. Have the car types been checked out to make sure that they all will line up if a line has different car types, as they have different door alignments on different car types?
Sure, good question. So every station, before we go out there, the engineering team goes out there and scopes out not just what the car classes are that are going to be stopping there, but the specific locations that a train will stop. So you have the conductor's position, you have a good sense of where they're going to stop. You have to give some space for a train that stops a little bit towards the front of the conductor's board or towards the rear, but all of that is considered. And before we place that station back in service, we run test trains of all the fleets that are necessary to operate on that line, stopping at the conductor's position, so that we know that what we installed worked.
Dory, you have a question?
Yes. Demetrius and everybody here, thank you for your report. Really appreciate it. And, I want to be cognizant of all the progress that's been made, but I do want to highlight, thank you for raising the workers' compensation issue. Maybe I didn't fully understand it. What was the issue? Was during the contract transition that there was something wrong in the payroll situation?
So I'll just speak generically.
Okay.
We anticipated we sent some payments out in advance, anticipating that if there are issues, we will pay some folks in advance. Even with doing that, the transition to SegWit, giving them some a legacy claims, I think it was somewhere in the range of like 13,000.
It took longer than expected.
Took longer for them to transition. They weren't ready as they should have been. And so that resulted in delays to our employees. Now they did a really good job of turning around and getting the actual indemnity claims settled relatively quickly. I believe the chair will talk a little bit about that on Wednesday.
Okay.
But what was left over was the differential portion, which employees here are specifically entitled to. So
I appreciate you bringing it up to the board level. This is something that, requires, I think, board attention. It's good that we were notified about it. It's troubling. Being a vendor for the MTA, I know sometimes can be difficult because we are so big, but it is pretty unacceptable given that these people, a good number of people are so customer and New York facing that these are tough jobs, and these folks are, are struggling potentially due to IOD or injury on duty or whatnot. So we really want to make sure that it gets paid attention to. So really appreciate kind of your focus on that. Thank you for bringing it up.
David?
Along those same lines, we've just issued a report showing that many people who are not poor, but if they lose one paycheck, are in real danger of not being able to pay the rent, of falling upon, in real hardship. And that seems to be much more universal than they thought. We found about a quarter of people in New York, for instance, are just a paycheck away from having real disasters in their home. So I'd echo anything you can do to expedite this has serious consequences.
Yeah, I'll just say, many New Yorkers live paycheck to paycheck, right? That's the reality. And, many people, your check is scheduled to go out to that bill before you even receive it. You don't even see the money. So the MTA is absolutely committed to making sure that this is right. We, from the chairman down, everyone has been really focused since we found out about the issue on trying to make sure that we get as much in these employees' bank accounts as possible, as quickly as possible. And like I said, when I tell you that the team has been working day and night and through the weekend to make sure that these folks get processed in some money, it has been like literally every half hour, they've been requesting updates on how many people have been paid, how many people have been paid, how many people have been paid. So this is not an issue of whether or not we're committed to make sure that employees are made whole. It's regrettable that this happened, but it's our goal to make sure to get it right and not to have the issue happen again.
Malva.
Sorry, I hope this is the last question about the workman's comp. But we know the seriousness of the affordability crisis in New York, so it's really important. I'm just really curious. You talked about sort of the daily reports, the hourly reports that your team is requiring Cedric to report. Are there any other measures in place in terms of accountability to the contractor, that levers we can pull, ways that we can ensure that the payments go out? This is actually, I have a second question, but I'll just say this one, first one.
So I think, Val has been a really big advocate for making sure that we hold them accountable. I think this was our first time transitioning to this, and that is no excuse. But I think we're at the place now where we are really handling what we expect them to deliver, and what the follow-ups are necessary. Part of it is not just processing of workers' comp up front, but also them providing information to us on what employees need to receive the differential payment and how much that differential payment needs to be paid. So it is a little more complicated than just the workers' compensation payment, but we are without question focused on trying to get it right.
Ask your second question. Go ahead. Absolutely.
Thank you. So I want to switch to ACE for a minute. As someone whose husband runs a UPS store on a very busy street that's probably responsible for most cars parking in a bus stop.
So we can talk.
I understand the importance of it, and I appreciate it. But I'm really curious to know how could the board monitor the long-term cost effectiveness and operational evase, systems, especially when we look at sort of the future expenditures of the program?
Sure. So I think there's
It seems like it's working.
Yeah, so there's a couple things. First, you can look at performance, right? We're tracking each of the routes that we install ACE on and how bus speeds pick up, what's happening with the actual time. Chris talked a little bit about the data that we now have available to actually see in better time periods the data that's tracked within specific periods of specific locations. So that's the one thing. How is it benefiting customers? The second thing is how people are responding to it, right? So we track also whether or not the level of recidivism continues to be the same, which since we've done it, the number of recidivism has actually decreased, which means that more people are being cognizant of the lanes themselves, getting out of the lanes, and getting ticketed less. So those are things that are big. I think the one thing that we still have some work to do on is identifying all of those outliers who will continue to park there because they have the money to do so. You mentioned UPS, one of our problem and there's a number of other companies who have the funds in their bank to be able to just take those tickets. That's the area to me that provides the biggest opportunity for us to do something to improve service.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, we're going to move on to Q for accessibility.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us this day. As you heard before, July is Disability Pride Month, although here at the MTA we are always focused on accessibility because we understand that accessibility truly is universal. We see that in our investment for a new fare array, which I'm so excited, Demetrius and the team, we are going to deliver 20 stations this year, 20 stations next year. That project was an accessibility project initially. Rachel and the rest of my team, working with safety, introduced it here at the MTA to enhance access into our systems. Today, we're spending over $1 billion into a new fare array, which will give us a more accessible turnstile, a more accessible subway station, but also one that's going to curb fare evasion and help us recoup some of that money that we're losing there. Accessibility is universal, and we know that because of all the people that are riding the system today, because we have a more accessible system. And accessibility doesn't just mean an elevator or an escalator. That's why we are investing money into new technologies like Navolent, which you've heard me talk about before. Today, Navolent is in every 6th train, in most of the 6 train stations, and it is enhancing the experience for low vision and blind customers to get information of service changes. Also, we've seen over 57,000 uses of Navolent, the bulk of which have been sighted people looking for a better way, a more efficient and accessible way to get information. Information has been translated in over 40 languages in our system of those people using Navolent. We've also seen Convo Access, a new app that's been helping people who communicate via ASL have communications with their customers. Over 250 engagements have happened through Convo. Those are 250 conversations that would not have happened at the MTA because of a lack of ASL communication. We are now providing that. I am proud to announce that we have now received a grant from the federal government that will allow us over $1 million that will allow us to install tactile guideways throughout the systems. I heard a public speaker at the Railroads Committee talk about the lack of access for low vision and blind people. Not only are most of our railroad stations accessible with tactile guideways, effective communication, but we're going to see tactile guideways expand beyond the domes at the edge of the platforms because of this grant, and I'm so looking forward to that. But I'm also excited about this capital plan, which has over 80% of it going to state of good repair. And folks, state of good repair is that unsexy thing that nobody thinks about. No elected official funds state of good repair because it doesn't give you a ribbon cutting. Yet here, this board is focusing on keeping service that millions of people rely on every day. Service like a stairwell with appropriate handrails, because if you're blind, you don't care about an elevator. You know, a stair is an accessible feature. And that's where we are investing millions of dollars in that. Tim Mulligan is investing over $10 billion into new rolling stock that's going to deliver better effective communication on rail cars, subway cars, and buses. Not what you're used to today, but we are creating a better accessible experience for all riders of the future. I am so proud of the team, and last week we announced those 12 new stations that are going to make up those 60 and more, over 60 stations that we will make accessible in this capital plan. But I also want to celebrate that 2 weeks ago we were out here in Manhattan with our elected officials celebrating new elevators on 66th Street. Not new on the map, but new because we replaced them. And I'm proud to say that of those numbers that Demetrius spoke of earlier, 98% elevator availabilities. If you look at today's elevator outages, which I saw just before coming to this meeting, of the stations that are out, 99% of them are out for capital replacement. Only 4 elevators are down today for maintenance, and we do not own any of those 4 elevators, Demetrius. Those are privately owned elevators, and we are working with real estate to crack the whip on that and get them to do better. Because we know better. We know who relies on those assets. It's not just the 1 million New Yorkers with disabilities, the 600,000 people with mobility disabilities like me. It is the 150,000 births a year in New York, 150,000 strollers added to the pavement, our buses and the subways, and our over 1.5 million New Yorkers over the age of 65 who have limited mobility, diminished hearing, sight. That is all what makes up accessibility. And last year, the city of New York saw 65 million tourists. None of them can get through a turnstile with their luggage. That is an access issue. That's why we are focused in delivering for all New Yorkers and visitors to have access to a transit system, because access to independence starts with access to transportation. But doing the work is just half the battle. Here on the screen, you have some images of my team and I going out, speaking to the community so that they can learn about the changes that have been happening, the changes that are coming. Because if you don't come to a press conference or hear it on the news, read it on the newspaper, you don't know that the system is 100% station accessible today. At the end of this capital plan, over 51% of the system will be made accessible. I am out there speaking to elected officials so that they can tell our story to their constituents, but we are meeting with them, hearing what's missing from them directly. My team and I were proud to participate in meetings with the Port Authority, New York City Transit, TOC, and more meetings coming up with the Transit Museum, the Partnership for New York, all telling that narrative of the new MTA. Folks, this is not your parents' MTA. This is not your grandparents' MTA. This is a new team that understands the impact of accessibility and how accessibility touches all of our lives. If not you today, the future you will thank you for this investment. I thank this team. Thank you, Demetrius, and happy ADA 35.
Thank you, Q. We now moved on to Inspector. Inspector, thank you for waiting. I know we took some time today, but thank you.
Good morning, Chief Mohaltis, President Critchlow, and members of the board. I'm Inspector Steve Moriel, Executive Officer, Transit Bureau, NYPD. You have before you the crime figures for the month of June, which show the subway system saw 175 crimes. That reflects a reduction of 6.4% or 12 less incidents compared to June of 2024. When looking at the year as a whole, from January through the end of June, the subway system saw 1,058 crimes when compared to the 1,093 crimes from the same period last year. This figure reflects a 3.2% reduction in crime or a decrease of 35 incidents. As you can see in the enforcement figures, arrests continue to see a notable increase through the first half of the year. As Chief Galata pointed out last month, violation level enforcement is driving force of what upward trends in arrest. While violation level misconduct is nowhere near as serious misdemeanors and felonies from a legal standpoint, they can be just as impactful to a rider's sense of safety and can greatly affect the overall quality of subway riders' journey. Since November 2023, the NYPD has deployed drones to help combat the reckless act of subway surfing. In recent weeks, we crossed a milestone with 200 drone-related arrests for subway surfing. And when we speak of arrests for subway surfing, what we really mean are life-saving interventions. While deterrence and prevention remains the goal, our officers will continue to deploy to stop these dangerous acts before tragedy strikes. That concludes my remarks. I wish everybody have a great summer break, and I'll take any questions if you have any.
Great, thank you, Inspector. Any questions for the inspector? Oh, Melva.
200 arrests?
Yes.
Yeah, 200.
Since 2023, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have 103 this year so far.
We're going to start subway surfing. We're going to stop it. Anyway, any other questions from the inspector? If not, okay, we move on to Tatiana Livena. Did I pronounce that right? Okay. She has a special presentation this month on the customer count survey.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for having me in this meeting. I'm pleased to present the results from our last wave of customers count survey for bus, subway, and Access-a-Ride. Just a few details in the methodology before we dive into the results. So the last wave of the survey was conducted in the last 2 weeks of April and the first week of May. The survey is offered in 9 languages, including English. We also allow for a phone option for anybody who needs special assistance. To get the word about the survey out, we utilize email customer lists. We also market the survey on all of our digital properties, such as MTA app, train time, MTA.info. The survey is also marketed in the system on digital screens and displays, and I want to thank Shanifa Riera's team for helping us get the word out. In the last round of customers count, the subway survey received over 90,000 subway line and station evaluations. And a bus, we got over 40,000 bus route evaluations. And the sample is weighted by ridership, utilizing average weekday counts, as well as the census to adjust for income and minority status. For Access-a-Ride specifically, we currently conduct our customer survey every single month. And for the April wave, we got over 5,000 paratransit customers completing our survey. Let's start with subway and bus. As you can see in this chart, overall satisfaction is up for every single mode when we talk about bus and subway. For subway specifically, the 57% that you see is actually the highest rate that subway has gotten since we started the survey in the spring of 2022. And the increases can be chalked up to customers feeling safer in the system and more satisfied with service. The top drivers of overall satisfaction for subway are safety from crime and harassment on board trains, service reliability, and wait time. And customers are more satisfied with all 3. For the 3 bus services, the overall increases are due to customers feeling happier with service reliability and wait times, because those are the 2 most important drivers of bus satisfaction. This chart provides a little bit more details about what makes up the overall satisfaction scores. The green bars show customers who are very satisfied. They rate bus and subway a 9 or a 10 on a 9-point scale. The blue bar shows satisfied customers who rate us a 6, 7, or an 8. And as you can see, every mode for subway and bus has seen a significant increase in very satisfied customers and a significant decrease in very dissatisfied customers. This is actually a trend we've observed for all MTA modes, for those who have seen the railroad presentation earlier as well. So these are really great trends across the board. This slide shows overall satisfaction for subway and bus by how frequently customers ride. And typically across all MTA modes, but also generally in transit, the more frequently somebody rides, the less satisfied they're going to be because they have more opportunities to experience issues in the system. However, the really interesting thing is that for this round of customers count, we actually saw the largest gains among customers who are our most frequent commuters. And you can see that in the numbers below the blue bars. The fact that scores are going up for our most frequent commuters indicates that there are fewer issues in the system to encounter, and customers are feeling better about their experiences than 6 months ago. So where are they seeing these improvements? They're seeing them in the 2 most important satisfaction drivers for the subway: service reliability and wait times. As you can see on this transit chart, these metrics have received the highest satisfaction ratings since we started the survey in spring 2022. And this is consistent with the operating KPIs that others have shared in this committee so far. This slide shows subway onboard satisfaction for each line. And most lines have experienced gains in satisfaction. I specifically would like to point out the G, the M, and the N that saw the largest gains in overall satisfaction due to customers feeling better with service reliability and wait times. And CJTP for these lines also increased from previous summer, early fall to spring 2025. And now let's turn our attention to local bus. As mentioned earlier, overall satisfaction for local bus increased 11 percentage points since last fall, a very large jump. And this chart shows overall satisfaction main drivers in order of importance. So you can see that the top two most important drivers, service reliability and waiting times, they both jumped 11 percentage points. Most other drivers jumped as well, especially want to point out the frequency of delays, which also saw an 11-point increase. While satisfaction for buses improved for every borough, Bronx, Brooklyn, and Staten Island are still trailing Manhattan and Queens. In order to increase satisfaction in different boroughs, customers, depending on where they board, actually have different things that are important to them. So for example, while service reliability is most important for everyone, the recommendation to increase onboard satisfaction for the Bronx would be to also focus on onboard cleanliness and focusing on improving wait times for Staten Island to increase satisfaction there. And finally, riders on many of our bus routes felt the advantages of improved traffic conditions due to congestion pricing that was implemented earlier this year. And this is especially true for the 7 routes in our time point removal pilot. Typically, buses wait at designating time points to maintain schedule adherence. With less traffic, buses were sometimes waiting unnecessarily. So the 7 routes that are part of the pilot, we removed these time points for them so the buses could move freely to increase travel time and make the overall experience more enjoyable and reliable for customers. And the effect is in. The CBD time point removal pilot, the 7 routes, saw an 8-point increase in route satisfaction compared to 4 points for all other CBD routes and 6 points for all other local routes. And finally, let me give you a snapshot of satisfaction with Paratransit. We do a large sampling of Paratransit customers every single month, and Access-a-Ride customer satisfaction remains consistently high in 2025, despite ridership continuing to increase. The top driver of satisfaction is being picked up on time, and we've consistently seen satisfaction with that metric above 80%. Paratransit's goal is to maintain this high performance as ridership keeps growing further. So this concludes our short presentation. Want to make a comment that even though we're getting a very large number of customers to complete our survey, we could always grow our pool of customers. So anybody who would like to sign up to be part of our customer panel, you can do so by going to mta.info/customer research, and there's a very easy link to sign up. Thank you for your time, and I will take any questions.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. Any questions? Midori.
Thank you very much for your presentation. If you could go back potentially to the slide as it relates to all the different modes and the satisfaction journeys that we've been on. I can't help but reflect that they are, yes, that one. They are significantly lower than the numbers I saw in the commuter rail presentation. And so thinking about how we are one MTA, we really want kind of all of our systems to perform at similar levels. And I wonder, and from your perspective, 52% to 57%, is that kind of statistically seen as like a true gain? Curious about that. But yeah, would love us to kind of get on an improvement plan or like a journey to get to the levels where we are with commuter rail, because we saw some really, really incredible kind of figures there as well.
Sure. I just want to mention that 52 to 57 is absolutely significant because of the such large sample sizes that we get. Even 1% is significant.
And I would just like to add, Midori, we have done a significant job in creating access for our riders. You know, whether you're in a subway car, if there is a condition you would like to report, the information and numbers posted, and we are using our digital screens as well as newsletters and other feedback loops to hear from our customers, which we hope will drive up these numbers in the future.
And I think, Shanifa, you're completely right. Having those, you know, I have customers reach out to me and say, oh, how do I report something? And for us to be continually putting that on blast, because I think people want to make our system better. They want to contribute to making it better. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, I think we can get a motion to adjourn since we moved the procurement. David, second? Okay, motion passed. See you guys in finance. Thank you.